Once again, AI should assist and not replace human beings. When I'm traveling and don't have access to my studio, and I need to add a voiceover to something that I've previously recorded, I'll have our editor use an AI clone, which is a little scary as he can make me appear to say just about anything. He could even make me compliment those unfunny idiots at avoiding Babylon. Seriously, I cannot believe how obnoxious Anthony is, and trust me, behind the scenes Rob is no better. The only decent one is their intro guy, Taffy.
Crap! I chose the wrong one.
Chose the wrong one.
Hold on, everyone.
Do the other one. Come on. Trent's gonna watch the beginning of this too.
I know.
Butchered it.
I got it. There's one I got to be careful not to do though.
Yes, there's one you can't play, but redo that. I can't believe you blew that intro.
I trust me. No one's more mad than I am.
Can't believe you blew that intro.
Hold on. Just everyone pretend like
the beginning of it too. Don't make everybody sit through the stupid song.
Well, I can't. That's hard to do. Hold on. Everyone hold tight. Pretend this didn't happen.
Meanwhile, poor Rob just heard me blow my lid off in the green room. You know what? I'm going to tell you guys, tonight's local show is going to be a good one because I have a lot of pent up frustration and anger with my peers in the Catholic commentariat. I'm just like some of these people are just so pompous, man. They're just so arrogant and pompous, and I'm just getting tired of it. So you guys will hear me rant and rave over on
Okay, we're redoing it. Let's pretend
the video. Let's go.
This didn't happen.
Once again, AI should assist and not replace human beings. When I'm traveling and don't have access to my studio, and I need to add a voiceover to something that I've previously recorded, I'll have our editor use an AI clone, which is a little scary as he can make me appear to say just about anything. He could even make me compliment those unfunny retards at avoiding Babylon. Seriously, I cannot believe how obnoxious Anthony is, and trust me, behind the scenes Rob is no better.
That was worth it.
Yeah, we got trying to say retards. Let me tell you something. I don't know if he wants me to say this. Like, because
we're not playing that one. No.
we've taken shots at Trent on this show, but like I still have a very good relationship with Trent. Like we so I always respect someone who can, take a shot or two and like have a good enough relationship that I sent him that video and I was like, "You okay with this one coming?" I was like, "Yeah, I don't care." He's
Taffy, he actually sent Trent the really, really good one too.
I did send Trent that one. I don't think he was a fan. Trent's a good sport, man. I do like him. He's not the person I'm.
This is 15 minutes late in the intro.
Well, okay, the 15 minutes late. I had a 10 o'clock start in Staten Island today. And I didn't get home until I walked in my door at 7:30. I had to jump in the shower. My wife made an amazing corn chowder, and I tried to slam that down real quick. So I just told Rob I was going to be a few minutes late. It was all on me tonight, not Rob. But there's man, we'll talk about that on locals because I'm getting fed up with people. And I will name.
You're about to pull a me on someone.
Yeah, it's getting that bad. It's just blatant disrespect. But whatever, we'll do that later. So Michael Knowles was on Tucker Carlson, and there's two ways we could go about this. Because
when's our guest coming on?
8:30, and he can only stay till 9. So he's going to be on
13 minutes.
So we got like 13 minutes to kind of just discuss the Michael Knowles thing. I got 2 clips we're going to play. We're going to do the good tonight. Like there's 2 segments that I wanted to play that are pretty good tonight because I did send Michael an invite, and I hope he responds.
This has absolutely nothing to do with the previous comment about pompous and arrogant assholes.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't
yet. It doesn't yet.
Yeah, because Michael Knowles he was just on Tucker Carlson. He doesn't deal with us. I'm talking about people on our level. Like there's a difference. When somebody's on your level and they're acting that way, like I get it. Michael's in a different stratosphere than us, but There's some really good stuff in this interview with Tucker Carlson. I do think it was one of the better Catholic interviews that Tucker has had, because Michael kept bringing it back to Catholicism. He did way better than Bishop Barron. And then there's like a 10-minute segment that I think everybody that heard is like, oof, all right. But I get it, because I mean, you're having a conversation with somebody that's not Catholic, and I get the difficulty in like some Catholic teaching is difficult, right? I dealt with this when I was talking with my in-laws, and the way I learned that you should deal with it is go, look, this is not me doing this. Oh yeah, he says he never checks those, but come on.
I mean, Margot did give me his assistant's email a while ago.
Listen to me. You make it like he doesn't see his DMs. Everybody sees it. He told a story on Tucker about how he DM'd Norm Macdonald. Like, everybody checks their DMs. Stop it. Come on. He doesn't have them open. He only follows a couple thousand people. You say, like, I follow around 2,000 people. I get few enough DMs that I'm able to check my DMs. Come on. That's an excuse that people come up with so that they could get away with pretending they didn't see what you wrote. Everybody sees their DMs. I guarantee you, if somebody important DMs Michael Knowles, he's going to respond to it. It's a silly thing to say he doesn't see it. If he didn't follow me, that's different, because then it goes into that back folder, but he follows me. So, yeah, the tricky part, like having those hard conversations, I've found the best way to go about them is to just say, look, I'm going to give you what the church teaches. I'm a loyal son of the church. These are things that are difficult that I don't have any control over. I can't tell the church to teach something different, but this is what the church teaches. If you want me to tell you what the teaching is, I will. And that's how I've gone about it in my experience. To, people still get a little hot and heated because they're like, oh, so you're saying I'm going to hell? It's like, no, I'm not saying you're going to hell.
The church is saying you're going to hell.
I'm telling you, the church is teaching, and I just am Catholic, and I'm not going to not be Catholic because I don't, I think it's mean, because I think that is one of the difficult things about having conversations in modern culture is you can't be mean to people, right? So, I mean, but I also know that I was just on with Novus Ordo Watch, and people were critiquing that conversation because they weren't pushing on me hard. So, like, when you're in a friendly conversation, you don't want to bring something too contentious up and make it awkward and things like that. So
I watched Kevin's response to it yesterday. That was good.
Yeah. Oh, right. It was very good. Yeah. Kevin did a response video, and
I'll be honest, I haven't watched the actual conversation yet. But
I think Kevin's an awesome guy. He's just like a genuinely nice guy. So I really do like him. But okay, so why don't we jump into the first clip I put in there, Rob?
Before we do that, I just want to bring up the shirts again. So I actually got one of the Protect Catholic Kids shirt on our store. So I think I put it it's in the description of the video, but for those of you who don't know, we created a Protect Catholic Kids shirt with the help of what's his name? Keith Nestor, that guy. And all the proceeds from sales of these shirts go towards the Annunciation Fund for Hope and Healing, or basically it goes to the parish and kids that were affected by the shooting at the Annunciation.
Hey, and now we're not getting anything from that. So if you guys want to actually support the show, buy one of the other shirts. I'm just saying, Rob's always
he's not wrong.
Other people. Yeah,
he's
like,
not
you want
wrong.
to support us, buy something else that we actually make money on.
Yeah. So we have other shirts on here too that we actually make money from. But no money from these will go to us. It goes directly to the families. And so far, we've sold like 80 shirts for an $800 worth of donation so far.
You guys really do step up when there's a good cause at hand. But
Joe,
Rob and I are.
I think they do. I can't say for sure, but I think they do.
The new merch store is on point. Like, people are getting their stuff now.
I ordered this. Today's Thursday? I think I ordered it last Friday or Monday. So
yeah, the new merch store is on point. So if you guys order stuff, you're going to get it. The last one was like people were waiting months and didn't come through. Like, very good job picking that new store. So, all right, let's jump into it, because we do have Charles Fraune coming on in 10 minutes.
Okay, so which one am I picking here?
The first one I put in is why Gen Z is becoming Catholic.
Okay.
We'll do the website after. Molly's
What does he want? Molly, look in the description of the YouTube video. It is in the description. Okay, here we go.
Instinct has been for the last few years that physical reality does really matter, even as I feel like I've had a heightened spiritual awareness and the dead certain knowledge that there is a spiritual, an unseen realm that is acting on us all the time, and that's as real as anything. I sincerely believe that. But on the other hand, I do see a lot of like ignoring of the physical reality around us.
Yeah. This is why, by the way, you know, like everyone's becoming Catholic now. You've noticed this strange phenomenon?
Yes.
I think this is a big reason why. It's people. The decline in religion has tapered off. Other denominations and traditions are growing, but Catholicism in particular is exploding. Why? I think it's because it's a sacramental theology.
Well, I never would have called that.
Isn't it? Yeah, 20 years ago, could you imagine?
At all.
Certainly not.
No, the Spotlight series had just come out and you're just like, this church is too corrupt to continue.
Yeah.
And I just want to say again, I'm not Catholic, but I strongly agree that there's a revival and I just see it all around me.
And I think this is why, you know, I mean, the words at the sacrifice of the Mass are, this is my body, which will be given up for you, you know, and which is mocked. You know, the phrase hocus pocus, like in magic, is a mockery of hoc est enim corpus meum. This is my body. You know, this, it's a kind of a hoc est corpus, hocus pocus is, at least that's a popular etymology and I'm persuaded by it. So there's always this mockery in all of the kind of false religions. There's always this mockery of the real sacrifice. But in a lot of religious traditions, and I don't cast aspersions, I had a Baptist grandpa. You know, the Knowleses come from Maine, actually. This is the ancestral homeland of the Knowleses.
Amazing.
Yes, yeah, I haven't made it up very often, but a lot of Puritan in the line.
I just like
a lot of us had ancestors in Maine, and it's, you know, they left.
Okay.
The whole interview was kind of like this, where pretty much everything Tucker would bring up, Michael would bring it back to these little things about Catholicism. And another really good quote he got was from Fulton Sheen, where Fulton Sheen said, if you wed yourself to the age, you will become a widow in the next. And it was just like, that is what the church did in the 60s. They wed themselves to the age of you know, the revolution. And now the church is a widow, essentially.
I saw a quote today on Twitter. I forget who it was from. The quote itself was Chesterton, and he said something to the effect of the saint that converts the age is the saint that is most unlike it.
Yeah,
or something along those
lines.
Yeah,
it's we've talked about that too, how the fool can like point out the absurdity of things going on, you know, like we talked about like with St. Francis and stuff. But pull up Allie Beth Stuckey's tweet.
I dislike her.
I do too. That's why I want to bring up her tweet. She wrote the popular narrative. So this is solely because she watched Knowles on Tucker. The popular narrative is that Catholicism is booming, but this is not true. According to Pew, for every one person joining the church, 8 people are leaving. This has worsened since 2014, when every one person that joined, 6 people left. This study has been cited by Catholic sources too, who are willing to honestly face the position the Catholic Church is now in. So she goes on, and she starts citing the Pew study, but
she actually cites Salmons without naming him.
Yeah, but. See how she framed it? The popular narrative is that Catholicism is booming, but that's not actually the narrative. We all are aware the church is in decline. Like, we know parishes are closing and everything's in decline. The narrative is that Gen Z, when they find faith, they're not going to Protestantism. They are going to ancient Christianity, whether that's Eastern Orthodoxy or if that's Catholicism.
And largely when someone leaves the church, they're not going to Protestantism.
Correct.
They're going to nothing.
They're going to nothing.
And they're not actually leaving the church. They haven't been in the church in years. They're just now not identifying as Catholic. That's all.
Yeah. So Allie is correct about people leaving the church, but the narrative that she's trying to frame that as, that's not the narrative. And that's not what Tucker and Michael were talking about. They were talking about Gen Z coming into the church. And the thing is, Protestantism, Gen Z is in this technological realm where everything is fake. Everything, and they're looking for something deeper and transcendent, and they're just not getting it at these Protestant services with these preachers making these big, you know, whatever, these big shows of their church services and things like that. So what they're doing is they're going to find something transcendent, and you do not find that transcendence in Protestantism. You only find it in traditional Catholicism and Eastern Orthodoxy. And that really is the conversation going on in the culture. I mean, Andrew Wilson has been going on Crowder's show, so he's been talking to whatever the producer over there's name. Tim Gordon's going to go on that show too to discuss the Catholic position, but he's talking about icons. And the guy's
Gerald is an idiot.
Gerald is an idiot, but Gerald.
I knew that
like,
when I actually liked Crowder. Even
Gerald is like, one place you guys lose me is on icon veneration, and it's like, but Gerald is thinking about these things, right? And he understands like Protestantism is silly. He's just still hung up on those Protestant attachments where they think that's idolatry, right? But he's in a place where he's going to be swung by the argument. We're gonna keep Charles in the green room for another 2 minutes. I want to play the other clip before we bring him on.
Let me get over to that real quick here.
So this one is Tucker. Is really a Tucker clip. Him explaining to Michael his feelings about Pope Francis, and it's just interesting because it kind of shows like one of the main things we've talked about on this show.
Yep.
Yeah, the best thing I ever heard from a practicing Catholic in the last 5 years, there was no one around. As a very close friend of mine, and he was going on about Catholicism. I was like, okay, but that Pope is I just can't. I won't even tell you what I said, but it was hostile because that's how I felt. And he goes,
"Are you sure you're not Catholic?"
No. Well, it was the greatest thing ever. He goes, "Yeah, I totally agree, but he's not the worst Pope we've had."
Yes,
it was like completely non-defensive. This happens.
It's like, let me tell you about the 9th century.
No, but I think that's right. If you want to win people over, don't be defensive.
Yes, totally.
Don't tell me that that what I'm seeing isn't real.
Yeah.
Be honest.
Of course. I mean, it is.
Okay, but I don't know that I've talked to too many Catholics about Catholicism. Maybe they all feel that way, but I thought that was just a wonderful response.
Totally. You know, we have to remember that the Pope is.
This was the thing that kind of jumped our show off with the Lofton thing, because Lofton was criticizing me for whatever he was. And I said, don't tell me I'm not seeing what I'm seeing, because what you're asking me to do is on par with like pretending a man is a woman. That's the level of cognitive dissonance that's going on here. Like, I see what I see. I'm not crazy. I know what I'm seeing. And gaslighting people is not helpful to the situation.
Nope.
So your best bet is to actually say, yeah, all right, things are a mess. But in reality, I mean, we've had popes in the past that toasted the devil. Like, we've had popes that, had orgies with whatever.
Francis might still be the worst.
Yeah, he still might be the worst. But, you don't hide from that stuff. You just address it and you say, yeah, he's terrible. What are you going to do?
Yep,
it's
exactly.
It's still the church. Like, the church isn't changing. So, all right, we're going to. I meant to have a half an hour for that conversation, but I do think Michael did a good job. I think there's probably one segment that he's going to catch criticism for, and that was the extra ecclesiam nullisalis portion and discussing Vatican II. There's the funny thing is, I almost, as he was saying it, I'm like, I sensed he didn't even believe what he was saying. Like, he knew what he was saying he was going to catch grief for, but he was just pitching the Vatican II line.
Yeah, the company line, basically.
The company line, he was just pitching. But I felt that he was saying it with shame. Like, it wasn't nearly as bad as Barron telling Shapiro that, Christ is the privileged way. It wasn't that bad. But he did water down no salvation outside the church. But in fairness, so does the entire hierarchy. So, all right, we're going to bring Charles on. It's been a while since we talked with him. Let's bring him on. Charles, how are you, brother?
Fellas, good to see you again.
Hello.
Were you able to hear us while you're in the green room?
Yeah, unfortunately.
Oh, all right. So I think you were sitting there in silence.
I was ready for you.
How have you been, man?
No, it was amusing.
Did you happen to catch that interview at all?
No, I rarely have time to watch podcasts, unfortunately.
I was gonna say, you strike me as somebody who doesn't like keep up with stuff like that.
And I kind of burnt out on all the, all the
Yeah.
stuff going on in the church now. I like to just research, Pius XII and backwards, just to
And
keep
backwards.
things fresh.
Backwards.
That's a healthy way to go about
Yeah.
life, I would imagine. It's like it's good for your spiritual life and your soul. But this most recent book I thought was actually really interesting. You went back and you researched powerful saints in exorcisms, what exorcists want you to know. So this is basically discussing some of the saints that exorcists call upon in their exorcisms.
Yeah, it actually tackles so many issues, so many traditional teachings that a lot of people, are clueless on, like merit, hierarchy in heaven, authority, patron saints, liturgical feasts. So it was I co-authored it with a friend of mine, Patrick O'Hearn. So it was his idea. He's written a lot on saints, and I've written a lot on spiritual warfare. So he had the idea, let's combine these two things, because this is a reality. People who keep up with exorcists hear them talk about these saints showing up, and like, what does that mean exactly? We talk about that, showing up in exorcisms, and that reality is just amazing. The fact that the saints that we're so devoted to, that the church depends on, her liturgical year revolves around, they're active in this ministry.
When you say they show up in exorcisms, what do you mean by show up?
Yeah, I think it's very important. Well, it's one of the things that we got clarified for ourselves when we first started doing the research, interviewing these exorcists. One of the first things, and I was kind of clueless with this, it just glossed over in my research for a long time, that one of the first things the exorcist does in an exorcism is pray the litany of the saints. It's one of the very first things, and there's a reason. So they intercede, they show up, they're called upon immediately. So it's the practice of the church to call upon the saints for exorcisms, for this whole work. And then the showing up part is not a vision to the exorcist, typically not a vision to the possessed, though they can sometimes, detect something's happening. It's the demon. The demon in the possessed person sees the saint and cries out. It's one of the many, it's a weapon. The saint becomes a weapon, just like the sacramentals are weapons. The saint is there as a victor, a warrior, untouchable to the demon. Someone who's already conquered the demon, is in heaven, is saved now. But they'll appear somewhere in the room sometimes, and the demon will scream and identify, never by the name, but by some kind of dismissive or belittling, like that bearded one for Padre Pio, for example.
Yeah. What was the most interesting story you came across doing your research?
Yeah, I would say, well, there are a lot. Let me pick one. Well, one of the things that was really interesting is that a lot of the modern saints, surprise, surprise, a lot of the modern saints are the ones that are showing up the most. And showing up means, to answer your question a little more, is their influence is felt. The exorcist may have a relic, there may be a connection. We can talk about why you call upon certain ones, but when the saint is named, you see the reaction, like, oh, that saint somehow has a connection here. That's how you know. But I think one of the most interesting ones is probably St. Joseph, to pick from many, and which was great, terror of demons. Hopefully he's showing up. Some of the saints you hope exorcists are seeing, they're not always seeing. It's kind of up to God, obviously, who's going to show up. But Father Ripperger relayed this one, and we pulled that into our book, that St. Joseph manifested. I think the possessed person saw him walking around carrying a staff and smashing his staff on the ground repeatedly. And every time he smashed his staff on the ground, the demon and the person felt it would just, shriek with terror. The surge of fear would just go through the demon, and the possessed person would feel it and then tell Father what's going on. But I mean, not just a subtle, apparition, but a subtle intervention, but a big one from.
Did you interview contemporary exorcists for the book?
We did. We pulled from like videos, published articles, but then we interviewed a lot of living exorcists. Some wanted to be anonymous, some were willing to be public. But we also pulled from a book that I recently published. I got to publish the English translation of the Latin text for Flagellum Daemonum. It's a 16th century spiritual warfare and exorcism manual that was popular for like 300 years all throughout Europe. It's called The Scourge of Demons in English. And Father Minji, he was the father of the exorcist art. So we pulled from that book because he talks about this happening. One of the things he instructs exorcists to do is to ask the demon who the primary saint is that he fears the most, because the demon has to, eventually under pressure reveal that name, and then the exorcist uses that name, that saint, against that demon. So this idea of like the nemesis, that certain saints are pitted against certain demons, has been around for at least 500 years.
Yeah. Somebody's asking if St. Mary Magdalene comes up.
Yeah, she has. Again, we interviewed, I wish I had the count. Let's say we interviewed like 7 exorcists, or pulled from 7 or 8 exorcists, maybe 9. That's a small sample. And I think if we were able to interview all of them, we'd find so many stories, because one exorcist would have these stories, but not this saint. The other exorcist would have these other saints. There was not a lot. There were some commonalities, but a lot of just differences. So St. Mary Magdalene has shown up or been utilized, been called upon for issues where the possession case has to do with impurity, with sexual sins. And that's that patron saint. There's that quality, that aspect. If that saint conquered the vice that got this person in trouble, then you call upon that saint, and there's a great efficacy there.
You said that it seems like some saints are pitted against certain demons and have been, like you said, sometimes for centuries.
Yeah.
Is there a specific reason for that? And does it have anything to do with that saint
sin
taking that demon's angelic throne in heaven?
Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah. So as I talk, I don't know if we talked about Slaying Dragons, but just a little plug. In Slaying Dragons, this is the first book that really got me started, interviewing a bunch of exorcists, compilation of the teachings of exorcists. There is that point being made. I talk about it in The Most Powerful Saints and Exorcisms as well. One of the reasons demons hate us, and there are many reasons, but one of the reasons is that they know that the saved, the elect, will take their places, that they had thrones offered to them, thrones of glory, should they just say yes at their test. But they said no, and they forfeited all of that. And we're going to get it. The elect will get it. So when they sense that we are on the way to salvation, they despise us even more. So when we escape their grasp and obtain, like the saints do, to one of those thrones, then the fear factor just skyrockets.
We've talked about this on the show. Like it took a while for me to fully grasp the concept of those thrones, and it was really through studying the early church and how there would be a demon's presence in an area, and when they would bring certain saints' relics to that area, the demons would flee. Or if there was an oracle, the oracle would stop prophesying, things like that. And then that saint's relics would then become the patron saint of that city, and that saint's spirit would actually cover the city, and it would be like a new principality that was actually the governing principality of the city.
Yeah, cities went from having, patron pagan gods to having patron saints.
Yeah, and that power, the way you described it was great just then, Anthony. And there are some feast days. One priest pointed this out to me when he was explaining the importance of relics, is that some of the feasts that the church has is the transference of a relic from one city to another. There's a feast day for that because of what you just said, because the city that's inheriting that relic is about to inherit an abundance of heavenly blessings from this patron
and the spirit of the saint, like genuinely, the spirit of the saint would then kind of become the principality of that city, and then you'd have those feast days. Like, I mean, we see kind of in European culture, they'll have these crazy feasts where they're marching around with the statues of the saints and stuff, and that really is an inheritance that they're receiving from the spirit of that saint, and it's something they've passed on through generations. Rob and I did a whole segment because we watched this CBS clip about Mount Vesuvius, Rob?
I think it was.
Do you remember? I think it was Mount Vesuvius and the saint that that they brought in that saved the city, that spared the city from Mount Vesuvius. And to this day, that saint still have this beautiful cultural ritual around.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was just such an awesome thing to really grasp what was going on in that whole thing, because I don't think they teach us that in catechism class, and unless you're picking up books like the one that you just wrote, we really don't get that kind of catechesis.
Yeah, it was Saint Gennaro.
San Gennaro. It was the San Gennaro
Yeah.
Fest. Yeah.
Yeah, this is one of the things I try to do with all my books is dig up all these old teachings. So much is not being handed on. It's really beyond bizarre. But you made me think one detail about the relics that I learned is that it's logical. If you really think about the power of the relics is logical. So we are created body and soul. We are not meant to die. It was not what God willed. So it's a violence. St. Thomas Aquinas actually says that we are not a man when we're dead, because the soul and the body are separated. Soul's in heaven. So the souls of the saints are yearning to receive their bodies back. They're yearning body. For it. Yeah. They desire that resurrection. They're kind of unsatisfied. So wherever their body is on earth, like they're keeping up with it. And there is that connection. There's the connection from the soul to the body. And like you were saying, then you sense the spirit, the presence, the active spiritual sanctifying presence of that saint over wherever the relic is, especially a big city.
Yeah, I feel like we've just totally lost the understanding of that in modern culture. We're so materialist at this point. That
materialist and egalitarian, right? Like that's one thing I feel Protestants have such a hard time with, is this thought that even in heaven there will be those that are above you, and then those are going to be the great saints, and it's hard for us to think of them as sitting on these princely angelic thrones when they are, people who most of them anyways committed some sort of, sin in their life, and that they've attained something that maybe we won't, even if we do make it to heaven. Yeah,
St. Jerome is clear. I can't remember where, but he's talking about that issue, that there is this diversity in heaven. It's like, how dare you think that when you die, you're going to be equal to the apostles?
Yeah.
Being thrown as them, like, no.
Yeah, Rob, that's such a good point, because it's almost like the modern Christians have gotten this understanding that even Catholics, they think, well, as long as I die in a state of grace, like I'll just go through purgatory.
I'll sneak in.
I'll sneak in through purgatory. And I've made jokes like that and things like that. But in reality, we build treasure in heaven, right? And the heaven is a kingdom. And to think that there's not a hierarchy in that kingdom that extends well beyond Christ, Our Lady, the Holy Family, the apostles, like that extends down, and you start to see, like, you don't want to be, like the least in the kingdom of heaven is still greater than anybody who isn't, but you do want to try to attain treasure in heaven in this life.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons that this book, I think, is so fascinating. It's about the saints. It's about recovering all of the theology around the saints, and that we should strive to be like them, that we would essentially waste our lives if we do not strive to rival them, to rival the saints in heaven, not the apostles or some that are, out of our grasps, but the rest is up for grabs. There are 9 choirs of spirits in heaven that the demons fell from. It's all of this merit, and God wants us. He commands us to fill our lives with good deeds. And he wants us to reach these heights of heavenly glory. And we got to try. And we know how to try. And the saints can help us. They can lift us up there.
We do have some super chats, so we will get to those. I know people were, oh boy, don't read Bobby's.
I know not that one.
That's funny. You should be out for each other in works of charity. What is St. Paul said something like that.
Stop calling it the green room. That term is for ghostly. That's a silly one. Okay, I just had my RCIA interview today. The catechist is a woman, and told me not to receive Holy Communion kneeling. I said nothing. What do you make of all this stuff going on in modern RCIA programs and stuff like that, Charles? It's like, I mean, we see the bishop in Charlotte taking away people's ability to kneel, and we do have that article in here because he's now demanding that children be able to be Eucharistic minister, whatever that word, whatever that means. Yeah. So what do you make of all that?
Hard to say, hard to say.
We didn't drop that one on him, man.
So.
Well, Charles is trying to be politically correct. That's I understand. He wants to be welcomed into the diocese.
Right. My diocese, I have been doing things to help, the faithful in the diocese.
Yeah.
We're all banding together. But I remember Pope St. Pius X, and maybe you could know where I'm going from there, but he warned about modernism. He warned about modernism in the seminaries. And then we see the progression of that. It was unchecked, it was unstopped, and then it was unleashed like 60 years ago. And now we're seeing the fruits of it. So that's what we're dealing with. How to stop it? One of the things I had in the back of the book, it was kind of the chapter 8 of the book we're talking about, the most powerful saints and exorcisms, is called A Renewed Devotion to the Saints. This was a naturally emerging chapter, in my opinion, from my memory of how we wrote the book. It's all about rediscovering their power, their ability to intercede for us, their ability to share their merits with us, share their virtues with us, share their graces with us. We need to call upon them. There's a power. There's this dormant power that needs to be awakened. And Pope not Saint yet, but Pope Pius XII talks about this. Like, there are certain graces waiting that Christ is waiting to give the world, and he will not give them until we pray, fast, do good deeds, stop whining about the burdens and sufferings of this world. Then he will unleash all of these graces. And that's one of the things we're trying to do in Charlotte too. There's this push during the month of Our Lady of Sorrows.
In Charlotte.
Yeah, why do you think he was hesitant
I
there?
didn't know you were. I'm sorry, Charles.
You're
I did
the
not mean to
worst.
put you on the spot.
Yeah, I thought you knew. How about that?
No, he thought you were just being a a-hole, man.
I'm not that rude. Oh my
How about
goodness,
that?
I would have never put you on the spot like that.
We got to make this video, entertaining to people.
No,
No,
Charles,
I'm in Charlotte.
I went on a pilgrimage to Italy in December, and the whole trip really could be described as an encounter with the saints, because throughout this whole pilgrimage, we went we saw Eucharistic miracles and things like that. But every time we would go to a tomb of a saint, somebody on that pilgrimage would have an encounter that was like shattering for them. My wife, it was Saint Clare. And like everywhere we went, somebody encountered a saint that they just like they would melt, and they would just start weeping and things like that. And it was, the whole thing was just, and because I remember coming back and saying we really should do a series on the saints, because I felt like one of the cool things is especially when you're going to Italy and you're going to these ancient churches, the language that they use around the saints, like they describe it as worship, right? They're saying like, his worship began, or their cult began, because we're afraid to use those words now because we're afraid to offend Protestant sensibilities. But there really is a cult that develops around a person that lived a life of extraordinary virtue, and like a true devotion to that person. And that's what even elevates them to the beatification process and the canonization process. And we've just lost all sense of that. And I think that there's something about when you fall in love with a saint and learn about them, that Jesus really does grant little favors to you because he wants you to know your older brothers and sisters in the faith that came before you.
Oh yeah. He definitely rewards us for following his advice. There's a reason he advises us, and his church, which is his mystical body, teaches us to call upon them. If you look at the collect, the opening prayer, and all the prayers for feast days, for saints, you see the church depends on the help of these saints. Without their help, we cannot, XYZ. Like, with their help, we can do these things. So we need to, and then a grace is given. There's so much grace available through these saints. And I was mentioning like Our Lady of Sorrows. This is her month.
So somebody actually said the Our Lady of Sorrows book is available from his website, so it was sold out on Amazon.
I think they're asking to ask if it's available.
Ask if it's available on your website, because it's sold out on Amazon.
Oh, so it's that's unfortunate. Well, here's the book. Yeah, Our Lady of Sorrows. It's a compilation of the teachings of St. Alphonsus Liguori. I'm surprised it's sold out on Amazon. Maybe I just checked before the show, so check again. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's the hardcover versus the paperback. I have ordered some, so you can pre-order on my website, slayingdragonspress.com. And I should be able to ship them out in like a week. I should be getting them in a week. Bad timing to run out during her month. But it's such a powerful book, and I'm doing
all of your books are great, Charles. That's why I'm not even kidding. We don't actually interview authors. We turn almost all of them down. But when Rob told me you wanted to come on, I was like, no, let's get Charles on.
It's because I think I got the email the day after we talked with Joshua Charles about the princely thrones of the saints or something like that. So
good timing.
it felt like good timing.
Yeah, thank you for having me on. This is
Exorcists used to be a minor order. Does this mean that lay people, non-priests, were doing exorcisms back then?
Yeah, this is a really important point. So in the early church, the rite of exorcism, well, doing exorcisms was not bound to the priesthood in the early church. It was actually like a charism. So there are two ways you could merit the ability to perform an exorcism. Was one, you were a priest given the authority and commissioned by the church, and now that has to be the case, where you have to have permission from your bishop to do an exorcism, to do the rite of exorcism. But another way to drive out demons is to be a saint. And some of the great saints would drive out demons simply by being around possessed people, by just saying a prayer. Like there's a St. John Bosco. There's a great story. I think I have it in my Slaying Dragons book. There's a possessed girl in the pews of a church, and St. John Bosco came out of the sacristy to say mass. And as soon as she saw him, the demon fled and the possession case ended. And St. Catherine of Siena, a third order Dominican, the exorcist would send possessed people to her because they could not end the possession. It wasn't working. So they sent the possessed person to her, and her mere presence, her simple prayers, her dismissive commands against the demon would drive the demon out. So you do have that diversity even now. Like if you're holy, demons will run away.
Yeah, it's when somebody lives a life of extraordinary holiness, they're able to like do supernatural things because their life is so similar to Christ. It's funny because when you read the Gospels and you hear about Jesus performing these miracles, they sound so wild. But then you think about Padre Pio was able to bilocate, and you think about Padre Pio was able to pray for somebody and they would be, and it's like, of course, the Son of God was able to just do whatever he commanded the world to do,
Yeah, and I often wonder about that because as we're all talking, we're all weak. I think this culture makes us men especially really weak, and we're not educated, so we don't know what the powers in the church we have. But we all need to do more. Like there's the possibility that we could be miracle workers. Like St. Alphonsus, no, who is it? St. Louis de Montfort says that in the last days of the church, in the end times, the greatest saints will emerge, the ones greater than all the ones that came before them. Like, what if we're in that age? Like, and what if God wants to wake up, in us this supreme holiness? Like, are we doing the work? This is why things like what's going on in Charlotte and other parts of the world right now call us to penance, to real powerful penance. But I preach this message a lot, but it's hard. It's hard for me to even do it. But that's where the holiness is. The saints, look at them. They were extreme mendicants, very austere, very penitential. And if we don't do that, if we don't pray with that, we're not going to make it.
Yeah, it's one thing to talk about this stuff, is another to put it into action, right? Do you know if everyone has like we all have a guardian angel? Do you know if there's a demon for every person too?
Well, there's as I discussed in Slaying Dragons, everybody's assigned by God's decree a guardian angel. But then if we happen to have, a guardian demon, a demon assigned to us, it's assigned by Satan, who has no authority. So that demon can be removed, can be driven away, can be swatted away like a fly by your guardian angel. So your guardian angel's there all the time. He's never going to leave. He's going to escort you to paradise. But the demons can be driven away. So we don't have a demon assigned to us except by the kingdom of Satan, and you can block that.
This is not really related, but I think it can be related. I don't know if you did any looking into the connections that the shooter of the Annunciation shooting had with satanic anarchist groups like the Order of Nine Angels in a 764, I think, or 746, one of the two. So I was wondering if you'd heard of either of those groups at all, and then also like if you knew of any particular saints, someone who was maybe struggling with the issues that the shooter had, if any particular saint someone like that could pray to.
You mean the demonic affiliation or the certain mental issues?
Both, I guess. Yeah.
Yes, I did not hear about those two groups. As you all know, I did a lot of work for my two occult books. So just, plug one here, The Rise of the Occult. I also have The Occult Among Us. I eventually had to stop the research. As you can imagine, it can get really dark.
Yeah, I would imagine.
So I didn't run into those two groups. I probably could have if I kept going. But the one saint that jumps to mind, and he's in that book, The Rise of the Occult, and he's also in the one we're talking about today, is Blessed Bartolo Longo, who, it seems, will be canonized soon. He didn't have the same mental struggles, but he had the demonic issues. Remember, he was a satanic priest, consecrated satanic priest, who eventually had a massive conversion and became a saint. He knew popes. I think Pope Pius X he may have known, maybe 12th. I can't remember when he died. So his canonization could be huge for the church, because that elevates the prestige he has in the church militant. Our attention to him, he's already a saint. He already has his reward in heaven. But our attention, our focus, our connection to that by honoring him as a saint could unleash a lot of grace for those people lost in the occult, because the occult does disfigure the mind, the body, the soul, everything. Just complete perversion, complete inversion. A lot of the problems we see today, moral problems in our culture and our world, a lot of times are tied to the occult, and they do share a same morality with occult morality. So it is a very dark and concerning.
John, I don't want to put Charles on the spot with that one, because he's in a touchy situation in Charlotte. I'll say for myself, I have gone to an SSPX mass, but I don't want to put Charles in that spot. For an ad spot, yes, direct message Rob on Twitter if he follows you. If not, send him an email. I just moved from Queens to Charlotte. Any recommendations on where to attend mass or who to connect with? That's for you, Charles.
Yeah. So Charlotte, if you're in Charlotte, you are close to so many great parishes. So St. Anne's in Charlotte and St. Thomas Aquinas, that's where I go. We have still for 4 more Sundays the traditional Latin Mass, 12:30 and 11:30. So check the Mass times. St. Anne's is 12:30. St. Thomas Aquinas is 11:30. I don't know if they're advertised, because you remember that weird rule from Francis. And then
that will continue in October at least.
October 2nd, the Feast of the Guardian Angels is when it stops. How about that? Isn't that nice?
That is interesting.
Isn't that nice? But yeah, St. Anne's, St. Thomas Aquinas are 2 of the great ones. We have a lot of good ones, a lot of great priests.
Yeah, and there's also an SSPX down there too that we attended when we went.
Yeah, that's in Mount Holly.
Yeah. Every year I ask a patron saint, ask a saint to be my patron for that year. The saint usually picks me via some sign. Robert has a good question. Does everyone have a guardian angel or just baptized Christians?
Yeah, every single human being on the planet ever created, you have a guardian angel, because God destines all of us to be his children. Most of us don't. Well, there are a lot of children of God in hell, unfortunately, but so most of us don't make it to that adoption, and a lot of us don't make it to heaven, but everybody does have a guardian angel. Yeah.
Okay, so Charles did say he's going to fly around 9 o'clock. Okay, so what is the name of the new book? Let's plug that, Rob.
Yeah, let me get that book up. The Most Powerful Saints and Exorcisms, What Exorcists Want You to Know. And actually, I'm glad you brought it up. I do have 8 copies of this book on my website, slayingdragonspress.com. These are the only signed copies, signed by me, that are available, because Sophia published this one. I've published 6 of my own, but Sophia published this one. So any book you buy from them or Amazon is not going to be signed. But if you get it from me, there are 8 copies. It's up now on my website, and I'll sign them for you.
Is there a hardcover version?
As far as I know, there is not, but check Sophia, and all I have are paperback. Check Sophia and Amazon. You'd think they would. I don't know how they operate. I always do a hardcover too, but there are always extra costs involved with hardcovers.
Charles, thank you for coming on, man. Honestly, you guys pick up any of Charles's books, you're going to be happy.
Thank you.
Slaying Dragon is a legendary book at this point. Everybody should have that one. But
This is it.
anything you pick up from Charles is going to be good. And like I said, we typically don't interview authors because, but we did have Patrick O'Hearn on also
for his Courtship with the Saints book.
Courtship with the Saints. So tell Patrick we said hello, and
I will.
Yeah. So, all right. We'll get you on for the next book, which I'm sure you'll pump out in the next 3 months because you pump out books constantly.
Yeah, I've got several coming. It keeps my apostolate going.
Awesome. All right, Charles. Thanks for joining us, brother.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Have a good night.
Take care. Yeah, he's always fun.
Yeah.
I like supporting him. It's like, there really are very few. Like, because Sophia asks us all the time, right?
Yeah, I get emails from Sophia and Tan a lot, and they're all good books, which is why we can't do them all.
Well, it's not just that. It's if I haven't read it, I don't know what questions to ask, right? But like Charles's books are pretty, they were pretty easy to ask questions of Charles. I didn't even have his chapters out or anything where, and it's different if you're interviewing an author where you've read their book
or I've talked to them a few times.
Yeah, exactly. But typically it's and also if you make the show about the author and the book, you don't usually like. Even when Taylor came on, when we put his book title, like people thought it was just going to be an interview about his book, and they missed a good interview because that was a really good interview with Taylor. But you're better off titling it something else, and then you wind up getting more viewers on it. Now, tonight's show, we talked about Knowles and Tucker, but I really think we should have talked about Frad and Scott Hahn.
I did not watch that.
I watched almost all of it. And I can't believe how apocalyptic Scott Hahn is about the situation in the church.
Really?
Very similar things that I've said about it, in that a lot of what he was suggesting is that the current hierarchy and even the Pope are prefigured by the high priest and the Sanhedrin in the old, right? Yeah. So when we see these betrayals by the hierarchy, it shouldn't surprise us because we've seen this before. And that's always how I've kind of understood the Passion of the Church, is by seeing that as the type, like understanding the high priest betrays Christ and the Sanhedrin, they convict him, and to see it happening in our own church shouldn't surprise us because it's actually the story and how it's playing out. And I think I think if not that we'll ever be able to get Scott Hahn because we're blacklisted from anybody that's ever had any kind of notoriety ever.
I knew we were going to get back into this.
Anybody that's even remotely notable in that world refuses to talk to us. But if I ever got him on, I would want to run.
Just remember, we did choose to be the heel of Catholic media.
That's fine, but come on, man. Come on, man. It's coming from our.
And now we're going to be Trad Inc. too, man. We're going to be the worst.
Let me tell you something. It's going to be glorious when we're so big that they want to come on our show because they want to promote their thing. And I go, you didn't help us on the way up. No, you pretended you didn't see my DM on the way up. Or you were on our show 7 times and never. I had to have scholars on. Oh, you need scholars on your show, do you? Scholars. Yeah, that's up on the other side. We're doing that on the other side. I'm not doing it.
As in theologians, not inner city youth.
You draw cartoons, bro. You won't come on our show. You freaking draw cartoons.
Clipping.
Are you kidding me? Sorry.
That's going to be a classic. You were so loud, your mic decided to turn itself off. I'm serious. I'm serious.
I'm sure. I saw the thing red out. It just.
Oh, it's coming back now.
Oh, it was totally off?
No, not completely, but
it totally. Yeah. Did you at least hear what I said?
A little bit.
All right, good. I'll do it on the other side. I loved the Scott Hahn. Like the whole thing was about the apocalypse and the Antichrist. It was amazing. Like it really. Yeah, me too. Me too. All right, I would have liked to like him. No.
No, he's Irish.
I don't even care. We'll do it on the other side. I'm not doing it. Well, I'm not even talking about him. He's just one.
He's the one that said. He's the one that said "Ant off," though.
You just like I've just had it. Like honestly, I've just had it. If I had a show, I'd have you on, JD said.
Thanks, JD. JD, I thought you did kind of. I mean, granted, it was having your daughter taste MREs, right? So I understand not having us on that, but
listen, let me tell you something about Seamus. He married a girl from my parish.
And didn't get Ant's permission.
No, but like you married a girl from my parish. We've met. You really like you go, oh, you too good for like I don't care. Piss off. Have fun with your cartoons. I don't care. I'll never ask again. I'm not doing that. I don't care. I have like a limit to where I can be pushed. Like, it's just like enough's enough. And there's others. There's people that have been on this show.
Mhm.
People that have been on this show that I just like, you are so pompous. Oh my God. All the people that we work around are like this, man. It's sad. I'm telling you, some kid DM'd me 2 days ago and he's like, hey man, like we would love to get you on. I'm like, all right, yeah. I'm like, I'm busy the next few weeks. We set a date in October. The guy's got 200 subscribers. It's like, I don't understand why people think they're so important. Like,
No, I have to read. No, you're right. Did I get back to Zealot's Den?
you should, because people.
Well,
were
I
kind
know
to us
you
on our
told,
way up,
like
and
you said, we need to tell them we're busy till October. I just don't remember if I did that. If you're watching this and I didn't, I'm sorry. I'll
we
check
are.
after.
Look, the next several weeks are mayhem for Rob and I, between the baptism, going to Detroit, between I booked a show with Catholic Unscripted on Columbus Day. Like, there's so many things going on right now. So you guys gotta, like, anybody that does ask. I'm not. But even look, even if somebody said to me, "Hey man, I'd love to come on. I'm just busy," like that would be enough for me. Like, don't pretend you don't hear me. Don't pretend you don't know who I am.
You know what? We don't need him. We had Gibson. We had Mel.
Yeah, but that's the point, right? Mel Gibson came on our show.
That's a
The
good
guy's
point.
an A-list Hollywood celebrity.
Mel
And
Gibson stooped down.
He was humble enough to come on a show, on some no-name show, when we had 8,000 subscribers or something. It's not rejection. It's like, it's more like people love the esteem of men. And it's like, oh, well, I have to make sure the people I associate with are esteemed men as well, so that people think highly of me. That's what I don't like. Yeah, send horse heads.
If you guys haven't realized, this show is Anthony's therapy.
This was not supposed to be on the YouTube side. Let's go to the other side. We can't do
Okay,
this.
but
I
before
can't-
everyone on
supposed to
YouTube,
be over here.
before you leave, watch the video I played before we end the YouTube portion, because it is awesome. So, anything else to say before I play this and we go over?
No, we'll play that, and then I'll continue my rage on the other side, because there's plenty more, man.
Okay, guys, enjoy this all.
Come to the feast of heaven and earth. Come to the table of plenty. God will provide for all that we need here at the table of plenty.
Oh, come and sit at my table, where saints and sinners are friends. I wait to welcome the lost and lonely, to share the cup of my love. Come to the feast of heaven and earth. Come to the table of plenty.
God will provide for all that we need here at the table of plenty.